question. One of you wrote in and said, hey, I perceived that your husband, me, dragged you or led you into this life of travel and nomadic wanderings. I know you're all on board, but the question was to Rachel, did you go kicking and screaming? Did you resist? Or did you just acquiesce and say, well, I'll just go with you? Was the transition fast? Was it slow? How'd you make the leap of faith? And it's a great question. And I'm going to let Rachel answer it, but she better give the right answer.
Are you sure? Maybe you should answer it for me, dude. Do you know what? I want to do this life. I am so on board, it's not even funny, and it was my idea to do this trip from Alaska to Argentina. It was my idea.
She's the crazy one. I get all the blame.
I think, though, I had never traveled when I was younger. I mean, I went to Tijuana once when I was like 20. I'd never been out of the country. Greg he lived in Peru for 2 years before we got married. After we got married, after I had our third child, and he was 2 weeks old, he went to Peru for 3 weeks, and I was jealous. I wanted to go. He went to Guatemala after that for a week. It was a year later or something. And when he went then, I said, you know what, you are not going again without me. Next time you go somewhere, we're going as a family. All of us are going. Well, the next trip that we did was actually like a second honeymoon to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. It was very touristy, and we stayed at a nice all-inclusive resort, and we had a great time. We were pregnant with our fourth child. And then we actually one day left the tourist area and went into real Mexico, and I was just shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is frightening, this is scary. But we went and we actually had this amazing cultural immersion experience, and it was incredible. And I just was overwhelmed with this feeling of, we have got to do this as a family. We've got to have this experience. We need to immerse our kids in the language and the culture, and we've got to see things that are outside of our reality, and we've got to have this. And so I told Greg, I said, we have got to move. I said, let's go home. Let's sell all of our stuff and let's move to Mexico. And we did. We went home and we started making plans. We started selling everything. We started moving and arranging and renting our houses and everything. And we eventually decided to move to Costa Rica instead of Mexico, and decided to drive there and that whole process. But I mean, I was totally on board and totally for it, and I've loved all of it. Now there is, we did go at first and we lived in very nice houses in Costa Rica, and when the economic collapse happened in 2008, we had to make a decision. We went back to the States and we, got work and did all of that, and we still wanted to travel. We couldn't stand just being there in normal life. And so we had to decide whether we would focus on building up a career and making all of the money again and then traveling, or if we were just going to travel. And we made the decision to just travel, which meant traveling simply, and I've never regretted it, not one bit. In fact, I think it's way better than the life we used to have. Way better. Because
we love it.
We love it, and we were focusing on the wrong things. Not that having money is bad, or money's not useful. It is very useful. It's wonderful. But we used our money for things that were not as important to us, and we weren't focused on the things that were, really important to us. So I prefer living simply now. I don't feel any envy or jealousies or any negative feelings about not being able to have those things. In fact, I don't really want those things anymore. I love traveling. I love living simply. I love exploring. It doesn't mean that everything about traveling is, wonderful. I don't necessarily like seeing dog poop all over when you walk around, or trash everywhere. When you travel, you experience those types of things, but you have to just learn to focus on the beauty that's around. There's beautiful things to be seen if you you look at them. You can look down at the dog trash, the dog crap, or you can look up at the volcano, you know, it's your choice. So I'm on board, and yeah, you better come along.
I'm acquiescing to her demand. No, we're equally yoked. We're going at this together, and that's just been the biggest advantage for us. And it's been the way we've been able to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish because we work together. We're teamed up, and lots of couples are just going different directions. We see it, and like, oh, hey, how do I get my husband, or how do I get my wife, or this, that, or the other? And the biggest part for us is we read. We read voraciously, and it helps both of our minds to see things the same way. You know, if she's reading some trashy vampire romance, or right, and you know I'm reading something else, we're going in different directions. But if we're both reading great books and getting input, and we're talking about it, saying, this is great, wouldn't this be awesome? And we're both thinking about it. We're like, yeah, we catch the vision, right?
Yeah, I think.
If I'm sitting home watching novelas, you know, or sports, or soap opera, hanging out with my buddies, whatever. No! It's together, it's a family. You can go after your dream together. And when you're yoked like that, you go for it, right? It's not me saying, you're coming along, woman. Or she's saying, you better come or I'm going to go crazy. Right? That kind of stuff just ruins a marriage and life.
Okay. Now, he's right, though. I think that has made the biggest difference as far as us being on the same page for what we want to do, is that we read, and we read the same books. We've read, you know, Think and Grow Rich. We've read As a Man Thinketh. We've read all of these, you know, The Science of Being Great, all these great books that are uniting our mind together and saying, yeah, look, this is what we're after, this is what we want. Yeah, and we go together instead of he's reading it and I'm over here, you know, doing whatever. That it separates you. But we read, not that we read them together, but we, you know, read similar books, we read them close to the same time, we discuss the ideas together. And it just helps to unite you and bring you on this path and help you to get what you want, really. So that's a big key if you want to do that.
Get the input determines output. Work together, catch the vision, go together. There's always some give and some take. There's always a little acquiescing. She feels strongly about it, and I go. And I feel strongly about it, she
like
comes.
Today.
There's some give and take, but you know, you just roll with it, and you gotta both catch that vision and move forward together, so it's not one dragging the other, because there's really not a lot of progress there.
If you feel like you have a spouse that you want to help change their mind about certain things,
change yourself first.
Change yourself, but get them to read great stuff, because reading great things is going to convince someone better than any argument you could make, really.
Absolutely. If I have an idea, instead of trying to share it with her, I just get her to read a great book, and she's like,
so true.
Guess what I learned? I'm on board. We're like, woohoo! And that happened just this week. Yeah. We've been studying permaculture and organic farming and all this great stuff, and separately, and then come together. Yeah, this is great. We've caught the vision. So work together. Be yoked together like an ox team. When they pull together, boy, they can move so much more weight, and they end up winning a competition because they work together. So work to get to that point, and the way to do that is input determines output.